So for whatever godforsaken reason, my local theater had a showing for Resurrection F, and I decided to go. Really weird because usually my area doesn't get any anime release stuff, but I figured I'd go because I'm nostalgic for Dragon Ball. This is probably the only time in my life I can go to a local theater and see a Dragon Ball movie, and it's also probably the only time in my life I can go to my local theater and see an anime movie of all things too. So decided I'd go pay the $10 and just see what was up. Uh, I haven't really kept up with Dragon Ball much after GT. I kind of fell out of it as I got older. I decided to watch Battle of Gods before I went into this, and I'm glad I did because you kind of need to know. Well, you kind of need to have seen Battle of Gods to understand a decent amount of this. Uh, Actually, to be completely honest, if you have never seen a Dragon Ball thing ever before in your life, don't see this movie. Like, they kind of expect you to have basic knowledge of everything that happened. It doesn't really make much sense. I'm assuming if you haven't watched Dragon Ball or seen Battle of Gods. Yeah, I'm fine with that because I feel like this thing is just kind of made for fans to watch and have a little bit of a nostalgia trip for or whatever, and see Goku beating things up again. And does that well. I'm not even gonna front. I feel like people probably already know how they feel about this movie before they walk into the theater. If you think the idea that Frieza comes back to life and Goku goes super duper blue haired Saiyan and beats him up is stupid, you're not wrong, but if you go in expecting to have fun, you'll probably have it. I actually really don't have too much to talk about. I guess one thing I do want to say is something I just noticed because I watched Battle of Gods about 2 hours before I saw this movie is in Battle of Gods they used a bit of CGI in action scenes, and I didn't mind it too much in that. In this one, they use a bit more CGI, and I was kind of bothered by that. It doesn't look the greatest, to be completely honest. Um, wasn't a fan of that decision in the animation. And then, other than that, the only thing I have to really say is I was kind of surprised at how much more serious this is, but not really. Like, uh, I actually thought this would be dumb and goofy like Battle of Gods was. And then right before I saw it, some person I know on the internet was like, "Oh, this is actually they're playing this one more serious." And I was like, "Oh, really? That's interesting." Yeah, it's still not really that serious. It's still Dragon Ball. They can't make it too serious at this point. It's still goofy. There's still a lot of humor and stuff. Frieza's kind of a joke, which is a little disappointing, but there's never really any real threat in this movie, it feels like. Uh, it even when it's trying to be serious, it's really not. It's tongue in cheek enough to realize that it's just a dumb, goofy movie, and I appreciate it for that. But yeah, honestly, I don't have too much to say about this. My only other real complaint is a spoiler, so if you actually give a shit about the plot of the Dragon Ball movie, to be honest, you probably shouldn't. Yeah, click away now. But the only thing that really bothered me is Beerus's butler guy, Wiz, I think his name is or whatever. Um, he gives this big speech to Goku and Vegeta about how if they learned to team up and work together and settle their differences, they'd be the most strongest being thing in the universe. And Goku and Vegeta are like, "Oh, I could never work with him" or whatever, and all that other stuff. And that actually doesn't matter at all when they fight Frieza. They take turns, and I was assuming they'd go away where Frieza started to kick their asses individually, and then they had to learn to team up and take on Frieza 2 versus 1 to actually beat him. Yeah, no, Goku just kind of blows them up at the end. That was a little disappointing, but I don't know. I honestly, if you just want to go see this movie and you want to see Frieza and Goku blow each other up, you'll have fun. You can't really take Dragon Ball to real high standards, I think, at this point. Really, this movie is only there for the sake of having fun, and I think it does that well. I think I liked this a little bit more than Battle of Gods. I can see people having a big argument about which movie is better, because I think there's a case to be made for which movie is actually superior. I think you could argue that Battle of Gods does a lot of things better than this one does, but I like Frieza a lot. He's my favorite DBZ villain by far, probably one of my favorite villains in anything ever. Just because he always scared me as a kid, and I always thought he was badass. And it's fun to see Frieza again doing stuff, even though his new form looks stupid. Uh, yeah, this is just fun. If you're curious about seeing this, yeah, check it out. If you think it's dumb, you're also not wrong, and you can totally skip this and not really miss out on anything. But yeah, if you want to see Frieza and Goku fight again, fuck it, go. It's fun enough for what it is.